Good evening. This one was a good one. It's nice and quiet here so we can have a bit of time on our own. Anyway, it's a Polo and it's a 3-cylinder. It got dragged in and not non-start, but it wanted to. It was that close just to firing up. So what was it? The AA man reckoned it could be the timing's out, which is a 3-cylinder. Good chance, isn't there? So I've plugged in and my fault code was P0340, which, yeah, that's not bad. But what I also like to do is have a quick look at the data. And I had a look at the data and I noticed coolant temperature sensor. And as you can see, when I first put this in, it was about 73. It's 81 now. Now, I didn't actually know if that had anything to do with it. Obviously, choke not working, it could be that, but it's a cam sensor fault. It wouldn't come with coolant, would it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the ignition on, and we'll come back to that later, hopefully. So, first thing we done is we did a cam and crank sensor. So, did my cam and crank. That wasn't the one I used. It's on another computer. So, but that's to give you the idea of what I did do. So we've gone into the crankshaft, which is a breakout lead here. These are brilliant. I love them. And then obviously I back probed the cam sensor, and it was bang on. I have a brand new one because I've got plenty of cam and crank set of 3 cylinders. So then I thought, well, hold on, there's no sensor on the actual exhaust cam. So I went and got the cam tools, put one in the inlet, put one on the exhaust, and guess what? It was dead right. So it can't be timing. So I say, if you ain't got an oscilloscope and you're not sure if it's timing, just put the timing tools back in again. You ain't got to change that just because it says that and it's close to starting. So we've saved that timing chain. So my next step is, I thought, well, it feels like fuel, and it doesn't feel like fuel. So the first thing we did is I did a fuel pressure test. We have 50. Ain't that? And then what I've done is I did the oscilloscope on each injector, and that's also firing at the right time. And it's got a nice picture, nice squiggly lines, beautiful. So it's not that. So we're not changing any injectors, and we ain't changing the fuel pump either. So what could it be? So the only thing next is spark, isn't it? So the next thing is I check the sparks. All the spark plugs work, and the coils are firing too. It's not that. So where do I go now? I mean, I thought it's got to be something to go by. So let's go back to that original fault code, which was the cam sensor, and that was the start of finding it. So I didn't order a cam sensor up, and I didn't order anything up. I ain't fitted nothing. So what I done is I did the cam and crank sensor, and then I had another go next morning just to get the right picture. Like I was saying, it was the same. But what I did, and I didn't pick this up either, but I remember it, is when I put this back probing into number 2, I got a psst come out of it. So I didn't really think much of it, not until a little later on. So what we've done is I've taken the old cam sensor and I took it out, and if you have a little look, can you see it's wet? And it's wet. Now, I'm not telling you you can do this, and I'm certainly not telling you you can, but a little touch and taste told me this is antifreeze. Health and safety and all that. Find another way of checking it. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I'm not. But that's what it is. It's antifreeze. And I remember a story. I went up to Preston, where old Frank Massey's place was, and a friend of mine called Dave Gore was up there, and he had this Audi. And he told me, he said, I said, what's wrong with this one then? He said, well, it went into a shop, and they fit a throttle body to it, and obviously that's as far as they were going to go, because they could see there was a deeper problem with this. And he gave me this ECU. This ECU was full of water. And then he explained to me, which I've never forgotten. See, Dave, I do remember. It's all right having all these little connectors with the rubber bits in there and stopping the water getting in when you're jet washing it, but it also stops it getting out. So hold on, we've got antifreeze here. So where could antifreeze come from in the wiring? So let's get back to this one. So let's firing off different stories. I've got loads, but not today. So next move, so I went into coolant temperature sensor, and if you can have a little look in there, on this, she's fully loaded, absolutely full of water. Let's go back and have a look at that. Oh no, let's put the coolant temperature sensor in first, see if it has gone up. But what I've noticed with this, which I thought was quite cool, and it's gone back up again, but what I did have is this, where it had I believe it had a 5 volts going in with an earth, and it was actually making this went up to 90 on the last time I checked it. If you leave it there long enough, it will go up to 90. So it's got its own little heater in the coolant temperature sensor. Clever. But I didn't pick up on that first time. Didn't pick up on that. It's only until later on when I just started putting everything together. So, coolant temperature sensor, we know that's knackered. Is that all? Well, I think I told a story about an ECU. Being full of water. And you have a look in here. Let's see if we can get some decent light here. Can you see the water in there? There it is. So what's happening is either going down the earth, perhaps the earth is running the cam and the actual, because it's both on the same area. So perhaps one of these are the earth to both, and then obviously the water's coming in here, coming back up here, and filling the cam sensor up with water. And I thought that was cool. So all I've got to do now is change that coolant temperature sensor and keep our fingers crossed that it's going to start. I might need an ECU, but the ECU's not, I mean the last one I heard you could, doesn't sound like there's any water in there, so we might have got it in time. Get a bit of an electrical cleaner on the contacts, and then hopefully we might have saved a very, very big bill on there, because you can see where this is going, can you? Can't get it going, new timing chain. Yeah, it's just what I'm seeing coming through this workshop at the moment. There's no need for it. New injectors, new fuel pump, new coil packs, new spark plugs. and I can see it. It's just a big parts cannon. But this is what this one was. Anyway, what I'll do is I'm just going to put a couple of bits and pieces in, and we'll see if we can get this started. Fingers crossed. Give it a quick clean up with the old electric cleaner. So give me a minute, and you might hear it at the first as well. Okay, changed the coolant temperature sensor, so we've got a new one of those in. I've cleaned all these up, cleaned the ECU up. I'm just hoping it hadn't damaged the wire, that's the thing. But let's see if it starts. Have a look at the old data first. Because remember, it said 76, didn't it? This car ain't run for a week. It's the first time I've had to look at it. So let's have a little look. See what she reads now. But I am hoping we've got away with the wiring and the ECU. Might be a problem down the road, but see if it's a problem now. Here we go, collecting data. Right, so camera now. Look at that. Coolant temperature sensor 16 degrees. It's not Texas here, I'm telling you. 16 degrees it is inside here. So let's see if I'm right. 2 chances, I suppose. And what do you reckon of that? I think we might have cracked it. So, a fault code which is P0340, which could have certainly made us, the way it felt as though it was a tire, especially with these 3 cylinders, Christ. I mean, I must have done about 4 or 5 this year anyhow, and there's probably you boys, you've probably done even more than me. But at least I didn't change the chain. I didn't change the injectors, which it felt fuel. Well, it was fuel, wasn't it, really? Coolant temperature sensor. And let's just keep our fingers crossed, because it's a young lad, he's only owned it a month. And let's just hope he's not going to get any problems with it. I'm going to give it a nice big test drive tomorrow morning, because what is it now? It's coming up for what, 20 to 8. I'll give it a long run tomorrow, and if it breaks down on me, at least it'll be I can sort the problem out. But I think he's a lucky boy, and I picked it up at the right time. So do your checks, little things, try and pick up, like as I said, coolant temperature sensor. How the hell can it be 76, and if you leave it with the ignition on for a while, it goes up to 90? That was something I didn't know that was going to help me out later on. And then when you put the little prong on back probing, and it just went psst, I didn't know that was going to help me out until a little later on. I just put it in the back of the mind. So this young man's going to be happy, and I'm going to stop waffling now, because I'm more than happy that I was right. So everyone, you have a good week, and I've got a couple more coming out. I just haven't had time to do the cutting, and this didn't really need cutting, did it? It was just boom 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 and job done. Anyway, it's great talking to you, and I really appreciate you watching. It just makes me feel as though I'm not on my own talking to myself. So thanks a lot. I do appreciate it. Cheers. Bye.